What's going on, guys? Hey, it's Anthony, and it is your Monday morning news here at the Wrenched Out Garage. We thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys haven't subscribed, make sure do that down below. Today we're talking automotive TV shows. We're going to run through a list of them, and let's just get going. So, as a kid, I spent the weekends, well, not really a kid, as a young adult, and as an adult, I spent the weekend mornings. You know, I had my kids. On some occasions, instead of watching cartoons, we watched Power Block, which I used to love. It had Stacey David. It had a lot of the other guys in there that are still doing stuff just in different capacities, from the muscle car stuff. They had the trucks. They had just an assortment of different things. But it was super cool to be able to watch them work on just everything under the sun. Since then, obviously, times have changed. Right now, automotive is huge on the television. So let's dive into a couple of the ones that at least I like, maybe a couple I don't like, but let's dive into it. So first on the list is Overhaulin. Obviously, that sat on the shoulders of Chip Foose and his crazy designs. I can't say enough on what an inspiration that guy is for me, just as a person. To see a guy with the abilities that guy has is just incredible. Overhaulin was a cool show where sometimes they stole the car, sometimes they didn't steal the car, and then obviously they always took care of it, and the work itself always looked top notch. Now, obviously, I don't know if it was a hack job. I don't believe it was, but the designs were just on point every single time. When I say that, I don't mean that I loved all of the designs, but what I am saying is Chip brought some heavy design, and it wasn't anything crazy or out of place. He did a phenomenal job with those. And obviously, for a short time, Richard Rawlings and Aaron and those guys came from there. So let's dive over to Fast and Loud Gas Monkey Garage. So that's a current, those guys are doing all kinds of stuff. Still to this day, Gas Monkey's grown into kind of this mega auto business. For me personally, when Aaron left the show, granted, he started shifting gears, which I love that show as a whole. But when Aaron left the show and then they did the Street Outlaws deal and all of that, I kind of lost a lot of the drive to want to watch Fast and Loud. They've been going since 2012. Obviously, they're doing very well. I follow Richard and Fast and Loud Gas Monkey on Instagram, and I watch the show when it is on. I just feel like the heart and bones of the build of the actual mechanical part, not that the other guys aren't contributing and doing their thing, it's just they don't have Aaron. I don't know how to say it other than that. Still watch the show. I like Aaron's show probably a little bit better, not to say anything bad. Richard Rawlings' Blood, Sweat, and Beer, I think is the name of the book. It was a good book where he talks about all the stuff that he had to go through to get to where he is today. Check it out. Maybe I'll put a link to it down below. Let's keep going. We got a lot of shows to try to cover in a short amount of time. So I'm going to just rip through some of these shows as fast as I possibly can. Now, Top Gear, the original Top Gear, I absolutely loved. Watched it on and off through my teenage years into my adulthood. Obviously, there was a big shift when the staff and Jeremy Clarkson got fired or quit or whatever happened there. And then he went over to the Grand Tour. The Grand Tour is a phenomenal show. If you like auto shows, obviously they're not building shows. They're more or less showcasing and doing a bunch of crazy things. That is a fun show that showcases some pretty badass cars, trucks, and whatever else they get themselves into. I did like the American Top Gear, even though it was canceled. I liked it just because I thought the cast was fun and funny and everything else. Let's keep going here. What about Counting Cars? Now, I've been to Counts Customs in Las Vegas. If you get an opportunity to go there, absolutely stop by there. Check them out. That's where this painting right above my shoulders came from. I bought it from them. Got to meet the painters there. Got to meet Ryan, the guy that actually painted it, the guy that you see all the time in the show. What a cool dude. and a great show. Now, again, it's one of those deals to where I think they do a fantastic job. They really go over the top. It's a funny show. They showcase a lot of cool cars. I like how they just pull up on people and get them to sell them their cars, so forth and so on. Their style isn't always my style, obviously. The 70s retro vibe isn't necessarily my style, but I do appreciate all the work that those guys put into it, and I watch the show regularly. Let's keep going. Monster Garage. Now, that one's obviously not been on TV in quite some time. 2002 to 2006. Jesse James. Now, Monster Garage was a fun show at its time. It's during the same time was Pimp My Car, Pimp My Ride. Pimp My Ride was 2004 to 2007. Pimp My Ride, we're not even going to go into that one. But Monster Garage was a fun show. Jesse James as a whole, though, because he did the Austin Speed Shop, did some of the biker builds off. I've been fascinated with that guy and his just crazy ability and the things that he's done automotively with West Coast choppers and just everything else. So I've read his books. I continue to follow him, even though he's kind of more or less in the Jesse James Firearms Unlimited, or was it JJFU stuff. The guy's just an incredible craftsman. I'm still a huge fan of him. I'm not going to go too much more into that. Jay Leno's Garage. To me, that's the purest form of Jay Leno. I grew up watching Jay on The Tonight Show. Obviously, he was a car enthusiast, watched a bunch of stuff online and some videos and some stuff that he had done outside of The Tonight Show. But when he took over and started Jay Leno's Garage after his Tonight Show days, what a great fit. The guy is a freak of nature when it comes to cars and automotive as a whole. But it's a very enjoyable show. He has great people on there, and a lot of the guys that you'll see me talk about here have been featured on Jay Leno's Garage. So my hat's off to you, Jay. Your ability and your collection is just wow. So I'm excited to continue watching Jay Leno's Garage. It's a fun show where he features some incredible vehicles, from cars, trucks, motorcycles, to just things that you never even knew existed. A couple other ones I watch on occasion, Chasing Classic Cars. That's a fun show. You got Misfit Garage. I'm not a huge fan of it. Which is a spin-off, of course. Graveyard Cars I watch on occasion. That's an okay show to watch. Desert Car Kings is another one. West Coast Customs I've watched on and off. Obviously, if you watched Pimp My Ride, it kind of messed things up, but I do think West Coast Customs, those guys definitely have a market. They've done some incredible things. I don't agree with some of the stuff that they've done, but I don't have to. It doesn't matter. I do like watching what they're putting together. Now, Stacey David Gearz. Stacey David is, to me, kind of a hero in the world of automotive. I've been watching the guy since I don't even know when, since I discovered that there was these kinds of shows on television. The guy is a phenomenal instructor, has built some incredible rides, and he's a normal dude. He's not doing, he has done some incredible builds that are high budget builds, but he also does a lot of smaller budget builds. He's more relatable. He explains things in a very simple fashion, and he's a hell of an instructor. Check out Stacey David. I'll put a link to his stuff down below. The guy, my hat's off to him. I really appreciate all the stuff that he's done for years. And in fact, I go back and rewatch some of his stuff just because the guy was just so damn good at what he does. Street Outlaws. I enjoy watching Street Outlaws. It's kind of a fun road race. You get to see some of their stuff they do. Some of it is a little too dramatic for my likes, but it doesn't matter. It's always cool to see those cars racing and some of that stuff. Another one, Unique Whips. I've watched that show on and off. I'm not sure if they're still on or not. I want to like the show. It's just, I don't know. I think it's just too dramatic, too much. It's just too much for me. One I'll throw in here, Diesel Brothers. I love the Diesel Brothers. Those guys have been on the air for a few years now. I'll keep watching that. I think that's a great a great show. Those dudes build some incredible stuff. And some of the stuff that they've done as far as charity goes is incredible. If you like trucks, check them out. Leepu and Pitbull, I don't even know if that's still on. I watched some of those. That's a crazy show. At least I think it's crazy. Some of the stuff that they do, building these one-off cars. Let's see. I've seen a lot of these car shows. That's some of them. And then you got I'll talk through a couple of other ones. You've got Bitchin Rides that's Ken Diggett Designs. I like that show. That's a decent show. I watch on occasion. I definitely enjoy what they're doing. I think that he's got his own style. You had the Boyd Coddington show, which I loved. I watched that. Rest in peace. The guy, he's a legend too. So let's just wrap it up there. I'm kind of rambling on, ran through quite a few shows. I'm going to do maybe a top 5 or a top 3. But the reason I wanted to do this as a whole is me personally, and hopefully you guys too, watching a lot of these shows kind of influenced me wanting to do a YouTube channel. It influenced me wanting to build cars. It's what, I remember when I was 17 years old, got my first car that I wanted to modify, which was a 84 RX-7. And I went as far as I could at the time, obviously, but limited to my budget. But watching these shows was like, you know what? I can do this. I can get under there. I can do this. I can do that. And it really kind of opened my eyes up as far as some of the things that I can do. And it's super enjoyable. Obviously, again, it's blown up. They've got Velocity as a channel now and so much more. But I did want to share this simply because I think it's an important part of television that needs to be out there. Especially like the instructional stuff, because I think it's important, at least for my kids, to be able to see that, hey, there's a lot more to this. So let's end it there, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's Garage News. We got a lot of really cool things planned coming out here in the near future. Make sure to hit subscribe. And if you're out riding or driving, do it safely. We'll see you in the next video.